Welcome back, everyone. We are joined again with Terance.
Hey.
Long time no see. For you guys, it's probably been longer than it has been for me.
Wow.
It's been a minute, or at least it feels like it.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff's happened in both of our lives, kept us separated. Long lost cousins, something like that.
Something like that.
But
And
anyways,
nothing can keep us away from each other too long.
I want to see how you've been. I want you to enlighten me a little bit. What's been going on?
Life.
A little check in on you.
Life. Life has been lifing. I feel like God has tested me in some areas, and then I'm having to deal with healing.
What does that
building.
healing look like for you
What does it look like?
as of right now, other than the obvious pain?
I'm having to go below the surface and deal with some stuff that I thought I dealt with that I haven't. So it's been emotionally and mentally and spiritually taxing. On top of dealing with the dysfunctional family unit where siblings and parents are concerned, family members as a whole. Trying to balance work life. So it's just been it's been heavier than what I care for.
Yeah.
It's nothing that I think will ever take me out. I've overcome too much
Have
already.
you written about it? Have you written about it? Curious question.
Like journal?
Yeah.
Oh, I journal a lot.
Okay.
I journal a lot. I don't feel like it's helping the way that it used to, so I'm trying to figure out another healthy outlet.
Are you avoiding things, or are you being real with yourself when you write?
Oh no, I'm being real with myself about it. It's just
But does it feel like you're getting anywhere when you're writing? No. So maybe, are you writing your thoughts, or are you asking yourself questions?
I'm writing thoughts, I'm asking questions. Who, what, when, what, where, whys, and hows. How things individually make me feel emotionally. Things that I would have people do as a mental health counselor. I think the biggest part of it is walking the majority of it alone. Because I don't have the best community in the sense of, I would say, familyness or together.
Yeah. Like your family life?
Yeah, so it just feels like I'm dealing with a lot of it alone. I know I have you, so don't do that. But just in the aspect of, still healing childhood trauma and trying to figure out how to navigate the areas where I know I would need them there, but they're not wanting to be there, and then having to figure out what I need to do to be there for myself in a healthy way, and not necessarily fill that gap. I feel like God is going to be the only thing that's going to fill that gap and that void, but find that circle where I am able to, I'll say even in my friend group, be able to have that support. And it's a little difficult because outside of you, I don't have many people I feel like I can trust.
Yeah.
So it's finding that, trying to find that balance. So it's been a lot, but I'm still here.
When you, sorry, we'll get to the actual topic later, but when you ask, or when you figure out why you're feeling, like what you're feeling, do you ask yourself why you're feeling that?
I do.
Okay, and
I
then
do a lot of times.
When you,
and some things I have had answers to. Some things I still don't have answers to.
well, I say that because there's something called 7 levels deep, and you say you're not really finding much answers when you're writing now, and I wonder if it's because you're not getting emotionally connected to the writing. So like usually when something clicks in my head, it's something that happened earlier today, in a positive way, of course. But
Yeah.
when I'm writing, as soon as my pen hits the paper, and I start to write, Like obviously I'm thinking my thoughts.
Yeah.
Or I'm writing my thoughts, and then as they're coming out,
So
you
you're
know.
thinking your thoughts.
And as I'm writing them down, right? You don't really have emotion behind them. You're just
You're
writing
just
down what
kind
you're
of jotting
thinking.
it down, yeah.
But then as soon as you start writing one specific word that leads to an emotional phrase, it
Yeah.
clicks with you, and then that's when things kind of happen.
Yeah.
So in my eyes, what you're saying is that's not happening, that specific part, which means
Emotionally, to a
Yes.
degree, because I numb, which is something that I've been working with my therapist on. Because when we've talked about this before, I was taught to turn off my emotions as a
Right.
child. So now I'm learning to deal with them, but I have moments where I know I'm emotionally like disconnected. Which
Do
is
you go into a rabbit hole when that happens, or do you just let it be like that
no, I go down the rabbit hole
until you feel something?
until I feel something.
Okay.
But feeling is uncomfortable.
Yeah. Understand.
So I'm having to like still deal with that. And of course, sometimes when you're dealing with something privately, even like when we have conversations about stuff, even when you leave and you're by yourself, you're still dealing with that feeling. So you're having to learn how to cope with that feeling and how to still function responsibly
Yeah.
and not give into any like impulses or anything of that particular nature. So it's learning how to put the building blocks to stay mentally in a good place while dealing with the emotion. So it's just that portion of it. But I've been extremely emotionally disconnected. And I noticed it about a week or two ago. Mm-hmm. It was just like, okay, you're just kind of floating right now. Like I'm dealing with the things to a degree, but I'm not mentally attached to it or emotionally attached to it. So I've been trying to figure that portion of it out or get through that portion. I even figure it out, get through that.
So you're trying to reconnect with whatever's been bothering you, or reconnect with the emotion?
I'm trying to reconnect with emotion.
So do you feel cold right now? Or just drained?
I feel more so mentally drained, mentally and spiritually drained.
Okay. So have you tried to sit down and refocus on gratitude?
I have.
But
I
not.
have moments of like, especially throughout my day, still trying to remain prayerful, where I'm just consistently giving gratitude for every little thing that I can think of. Focusing more on what I have more than what I don't have. Being honest with myself about what I need compared to what I don't need.
Well, another
the
thing
moment.
is, and I'm thinking about this now, is the environment you're in.
Oh, that
consistently.
plays a big part. That plays
Yeah,
a
because I was gonna
huge
say,
part.
like, I can get drained, but I also control where I put myself mentally very well.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this with my job.
Yeah.
You know, so like if I don't feel like it's mentally good for me, then I don't stay very long.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the biggest difference, probably.
That's a big part of it.
Because and you can tell me to cut any of this out, by the way, if you need me to, because this is personal. But like a lot recently, you know, when we're talking, especially last 2 days, I think,
Yeah.
the last 3 days, you've been talking like this, like when I'm talking to you, and you've been drained. Like you can just tell that there's something there, and it's hard for you to get it through.
Yeah.
And I mean, it makes me feel bad, but also it's like it lingers longer than I feel like it should. And like I'm not saying anything wrong on your part, but I'm saying if it's lasting that long, it's got to be something that's big, right?
Yeah.
And another thing is too is when you're constantly, because when you go home, you don't go home, right? You're not safe mentally.
Mentally, no.
Right.
In a physical
So,
sense, yeah. Just
well, obviously
mentally,
you're a big old
mentally,
boy.
no. Emotionally as well. I've also noticed I'm not safe there.
Yeah.
Granted, you're with family. I'm with my family. We're all trying to help each other and make it out. It's just make things, work out for a short time to help each other. It's one of those things where it's like, bruh. when you can't say something to someone without without them taking it personal, it's a thing. They're emotionally disconnected as well. So I'm at a point to where, like you said, it's time to change that environment. It's just, at this point, doing what I can and relying on God to do his part. Because he's aware. He's very aware. Like, if he ain't, as much as I've had to have one-on-one conversations and prayer with God and been like, look, it's time for me to go. Your child is about to be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs if I don't get away from these people.
Yeah.
It's just having to deal with that patience, and that's one of the tests that that I brought up earlier. Is God is testing my patience right now, because I haven't had as much as I should. Typically, a lot of people are like, "You're patient." It's like, I'm really not. I've been good at presenting patience, but to actually, from a biblical context of being patient and long suffering, I'm very quick to jump out of a situation, if that makes sense. So like normally by now, I would be like, I'm gone. I don't care where I'm going. I don't care what the situation is. I'm out. And God hasn't given me that ability to just run.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those things where he's like, I need you to be patient in this area and keep focusing on him. But that's been the difficult part, is focusing on God and still remaining in my purpose while dealing with the baggage and not being able to connect emotionally.
Well, maybe there's a perspective change that you're in
That I'm
charge of
missing.
planting. No, that you're in charge of planting in your family. Because, and I say this, and I'm thinking about like how anger is addressed in the house, which I don't know much, obviously, but I'm big on trying to figure out different communicational patterns, especially right now. So my thought is, how many times when you're in a situation with your, we'll say family, right? Because from what I've heard, like on the phone and stuff, how many times do you ask a question in response to their anger rather than responding in the same tone that they're coming at you with? And I say this kind of implying like from our conversation yesterday, and I'm sure you understand like where I'm coming out with this, because when your mom walked in, and I'm saying like she came at you, you came at her, right?
Yeah.
So in that kind of a context, how I think about it is, if someone comes at you, and this is something I even try and practice while I'm at the leasing office, because residents come in and they're upset all the time,
Yeah.
So you have to deal with it. What if you, instead of doing what your natural instinct is, as soon as that happens, you feel that kick of, we'll say, I don't want to say stern, or I don't want to say anger, but like that sternness that as soon as it happens, you want to clap back. What if you could notice that immediate reaction, catch it, and then respond with a question? And I say respond with a question is because a lot of it has to do, in my opinion, with pride.
Yeah.
Because what happens is when one person doesn't back down, it's just, and then it reciprocates, it's just pride, ego going back and forth, going back and forth, going back and forth. So theoretically, what if instead of doing that, you say, hey, she comes at you, or someone comes at you, and then you catch that knee-jerk reaction, you turn it around, you understand, okay, let me, right? Because in your mind, you're like, okay, they need to back down, they need to understand. Well, what if you switch it around and say, let me understand, and let me take the first step? And then you're switching it around, and then you're like, let me ask a question in response. Say, hey, blank. Like, just ask a simple question, because questioning something brings you out of anger and brings you into curiosity, because it forces you to think. So it takes you out of your anger loop. Yeah. So what if, and keep in mind, this is something that I've practiced with Chase too, is when someone would say something to me and I want to just react immediately, I've noticed, especially when I think I'm right, and it's one of those things, like when you really, really think you're right for doing it. I've had that situation with Chase, and I've talked about it on the podcast before. And I took it in, and I wanted to just like let it out so bad, and then I caught it, and I'm like, no, let me internalize this, absorb it in a way, is how it kind of felt. So I'm absorbing that pride, that ego, and then understand, hey, this pride isn't going to get me anywhere. And then turn that around and maybe ask a question. And even if it's just changing the tone too, like if you're saying, hey, I'm on the phone, can we please address this later? Instead of a knee-jerk reaction, and then the tone is matched with the other person's tone, or worse, right? Because, and it's a quote, don't fight fire with fire, or fire with fire, like, obviously you're just going to feed the flame.
Feed the flame, yeah.
So, we just sprinkle a little, and it's not even really, how I want to think about it is, it's more of planting a seed. Because as soon as someone starts questioning something, then they're digging, right? So they're going to be digging in their head for what to answer with. And it just takes them out of that anger, usually, unless they're really, really angry. And then I guess they could respond with your question to another question. But then you can just keep repeating and then keep a softer tone. And then, and another thing, if they're just angry and they're coming at you with anger, it's like, hey, my tone is obviously not matching yours. We're not going to get anywhere if we keep going like this. Can we please, like, address this together, have a conversation, rather than you yelling and me responding?
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying I'm good at that at all, right? Because I've had my issues, right?
Yeah. We all do.
No, it's a hard thing to do.
moments.
Like, by no means is it easy.
At all. Normally with people in general, I'm very good at like, okay, I can take it and absorb it and not respond.
But see, I want to change the perspective of taking it.
I'm at a point, and this is something I've noticed with myself. Like, I've said it a couple times where it's like, I just don't have the patience. Like, I'm running thin. It's been very difficult to do that. As weighted as I have been the past like 2 months. So it's been like a build of like, okay, let's try to figure it out. Let's talk about it. Let's ask a question with a question. Let's go through the process. But one thing I've noticed when we talked about going to the change of environment is it's hard to converse with a person who's refusing to heal the areas that has caused their inability to communicate, because now you're trying to communicate with someone who's refusing to consistently communicate. So it's been months without a resolve. And I know, even though it's not necessarily right, I've kind of gotten to that point to where it's like, okay, F it.
Yeah, you just want to throw it away.
Let's just be done with it, because clearly you don't care. And this is in response to them. But I've still have like moments where it's like, okay, let's just.
Do you understand why they don't care?
Which dimension are we looking at it in? Which dimension are we looking at it? Which dimension are we looking at it in? If we're looking at it from, if I look at each person's between, let's say, the siblings, parental on both ends, even though my parents are divorced, on both ends, if I look at the in-laws, all of them have, if I look at it spiritual, they're very hard of heart. It's no soft place. Everything is just, their responses are rough and jagged. Even when they're attempting to be communicative or soft, it's rough and jagged. It's like, that is extremely pointed. But if I look at certain individuals' lives overall, it's unhealed trauma, the unwillingness to learn, the unwillingness to take accountability, And the areas where I'm trying to heal, they're refusing to, and it's causing a clash.
Yeah, but
And
see,
that's based off of something one of them said the other day is just because you want to deal with your issues don't mean that I want to deal with anything. I'd rather leave it alone. And it's like, okay, but that means that if we have to talk to resolve something and you don't want to have that conversation, then we're just going in a spin of back and forth, especially when there's no communication about finances, but things have to be paid.
yeah,
Because now all of our lives are, I don't want to say in a balance, but all of us have something that we have to worry about to contribute. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, your unwillingness to have conversations is also putting other people in financial binds. Let's just say that's one of the issues. But there's only so much worry that a person can take in a financial place. Like it gets to that point. So it's one of those like, as patient as I have been, God is having to grow me in an area of patience, which is causing me, and an area of it is growth, which is uncomfortable at the same time.
oh yeah.
So it's multiple facets of like things. And for me, it's been difficult to process it all at one time. Like it's extreme. Like I've woken up over the past month at like 2 o'clock and cannot go back to sleep at night. And then I'm up all day. And then I'm up all the next night because school and work and trying to build something outside of somebody else's business to have for myself. So my children don't have to deal with what I had to deal with of parents working all the time, no real communication, no real relationship. It's just about money, paying bills, and then everybody has their things. So it's just been a lot of just like days where I'm just not resting. So it's a lot it's a lot. It's a lot, bro.
The resting thing's is probably a big thing taking a toll.
It is.
So probably just taking a day to just relax, genuinely relax, like an actual relaxing day rather than just oh, I'm gonna relax, but you're still thinking.
But you're still thinking and working and trying to do stuff. Yeah.
So one of those would probably be good.
Excuse me.
And I'm not saying that's easy either, because it's hard for me to even do that, especially by myself.
Because we're goal-driven people. Like we got stuff we want to do and accomplish.
Well,
so it's hard.
Feel useless if we don't, or I do.
No, I do. I feel useless or I feel lazy. And that's something that I don't want to do, is just become complacent and lazy. So it's like it's hard to give myself a rest day, even in the gym.
It's gotten easier for me, I will say. It's been hard to do it, but I've learned to, when I need to be mentally at peace, I need to let myself do it.
Yeah.
So one thing that I noticed, while it's on my mind, I gotta figure out how to word it, but
I don't know what they doing up there, but they must be enjoying themselves.
you're talking about like their unwillingness to change, and you're saying that's like I asked what was like why they don't want to change. I forget what I asked specifically, but anyways, so that was your response, and then what I would say to that is, do you understand why they feel that way about it? And this is where I say, like, do you know why? Because I think when I'm addressing people and when I have genuine conversations, and the conversations that actually work out and the seeds are planted in my, I guess, quote unquote, excuse me, I am able to, or let's say this, the conversation that we have strikes something emotionally in them that strikes an emotional change, which leads to a perspective change. So why I'm saying this is what if in your understanding of them, what if there's something deeper that you haven't reached to understand? Because I'm saying this, I believe that if you understand why someone refuses to do something, truly understand why, to where if you called it out on them, it would strike a nerve, then they will start to think. And I say this because I can recall a conversation that I've had with, let's say, the easiest one is, or say my lady. And I say this because when I was talking to her about, when I was talking to her about a perspective change, we can say, about the situation that we're in, or we were in about a week or two ago. You go into it, and if you think you're right, like, we're both stubborn. So if you think you're right, you're gonna butt heads, okay? And until one of you decides to not be as stubborn, or something strikes you in a way that's like, oh, this is actually something, and that's usually an emotional change. So if you are able to understand the roots to why they don't feel like they should open up, or why they don't want to open up, because I've been in that situation, very similar. I resolved it pretty quickly, but I don't remember exactly how I did it. All I know is that this person has a perspective, and it's keeping them from, let's say, they want to avoid. Until they understand why they should not avoid, they're going to keep avoiding, because in their mind, it's the simpler answer, and that's just what they want to do. So, when you address it, let's say you go into the situation, and they're saying, well, I don't want to do this. And you say, I guess you could say, why do you not want to address this? And you say, well, I don't feel like it. Well, why don't they feel like it, right? So it's not, you're going to have to keep digging, but until you understand a specific situation and call them out on it, it's going to be that wall, that back and forth wall where the pride's up and you're not going to get through it. So when the ego happens, okay, on your side, right, the clap back, it's because you're in your mind, you're like, okay, I'm over this, I don't care to understand anymore. And then like that's subconscious, right? I don't care to understand anymore. And then you come out and then you say that thing. Whereas if you take a second to recognize the ego when that snapback happens, recognize that your frustrations are coming and you're wanting to react a certain way, recognize it and be like, no, let's take a step back. I need to understand the situation. And that's what happened, we'll say, with me and Chase. Obviously, he doesn't really know how I felt about the whole situation, and I don't even remember it, honestly, to the fullest extent, but I know that I felt that way. Instead of reacting and coming out at him, I chose to be, I don't want to say bigger man, because that's honestly, in my opinion, offensive or disrespectful.
Yeah, it
But
can be.
yeah.
And I appreciate you for noticing that, because a lot of people don't realize when they say certain stuff like that, it's like, okay,
Yeah, and
you
that's
don't
not what I
realize
mean.
you're taking value from that person and who they are in the position that they are as an individual. So
Yeah, but it's more of a recognizing, like, okay, instead of me just, because I don't understand, when we don't understand something in these kind of situations, we are like, okay, I don't understand, I'm going to react. And usually it's anger. So I'm going to react with anger. And then, which is usually what happens. And even thinking about it from a resident's point of view, like from leasing office, when they don't understand something, it's like, why is this not getting fixed? I've asked over and over and over again, and they don't understand. Like, we have vendors, we have to go through a process. We're not directly in charge of it, but people don't understand that. So then they don't understand, and it's happened so many times, they're frustrated, they need someone to take it out on. They refuse to, let's say, try and understand the situation, and then they come in and they start banging, right? And even there's a situation with a lease that got messed up, and we'll just say I was trying to be helpful, and it turned into a yelling fest, even though it could have easily been solved if, like, it got solved. I believe it got solved, but none of the yelling had happened because there was already a solution there, and it was voiced that there was a solution there. But because they were angry, they refused to understand. They just kept going. They kept going, right? So, in that sort of like killing the ego, I guess, and then asking yourself a question like, yeah, I don't understand this. Why don't I understand it? And then you really start to listen more. And there's a quote that Jordan Peterson says, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but it's something like, if you think the other person is boring, you haven't listened enough. Because everyone has a story, everyone's interesting. So if you think someone's boring, it's your fault, not theirs. Because you're not listening hard enough. So, taking that same perspective, I need to stop saying so. So taking that same perspective, taking it into an anger situation, someone's upset, and you have the option to either get upset back, because that's more common, right? Or instead of doing that, taking a second and then being like, what is really going on here? Like, I even had a situation with a resident, or technically still a resident, where they were upset about fees that needed to get paid because of, I guess, lack of response, we can say. And I was like, unfortunately, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Right. And then I get cussed at. And for me personally, it doesn't bother me. But I went into the situation, I know he's going to probably lose his shit. Excuse my language. And then as soon as I said it, he immediately, I think I heard like 3 or 4 bangs in the background, and then he started, he unloaded. But halfway through, about like a minute and a half through, he said, I'm sorry, I understand, like, it's not your fault, I'm just taking, like, I have my frustrations out and I shouldn't be taking it out on you. It's a realization, right?
Yeah.
You're understanding, oh shoot, I'm taking it out on the wrong person, basically. And it's just a not good situation to be in. So, in that perspective, maybe it's a test, yeah, of patience, but maybe it's a test of also pride and ego. And I say that just like, what would happen if you, instead of responding the way you've been responding, which I'm not going to say you've been responding a certain way, but like, I know how you've been responding and how the situations have unfolded from them. What if we changed the pattern and say, hey, what if I approach it from a questioning perspective and an understanding perspective? Another thing, make it more about them, which is hard to do, especially when you're angry, especially in those situations. But when you make it more about them, they feel more heard. And what if that's really what needs to, like, what if that's really all they need? And then they feel heard. And then when they feel heard, the little pieces slip out to where you can put the pieces together to where you start understanding. And then you have that, we'll say, weapon to then say to them, and obviously when you have a weapon, you can use it for good or bad. So you have that weapon to then go back at them and offer it as a perspective change. And then what if that seed, what if that little bit of information is all they needed to then changes their life around completely, which is what happened with me in my situation.
I'll say that's been attempted, because I'll say the snappier tone has been more like over the past week, where it's just been like, I'm tired. But it's very hard, even in questioning, to deal with certain people. And I say that because I've noticed between the women in the family, even when you try to approach to get a knowledge and understanding, and you get hit with, you can't tell me nothing, I'm older than you, the conversation's never going to go anywhere.
Okay, so that's another thing.
And then, or you get, I don't want to deal with it, I don't want to talk about it, and then they walk away. It's very hard to deal with a person. It's very hard to rationalize with a person who doesn't want to listen, especially when, like, say the other day with the tire situation. We're having a conversation. We're having a conversation. I get cussed out, yelled at, disrespected. My tire is the one that's flat. I'm the one stranded on the side of the road right now. It took for, say, one of the individual's friends to literally be like disrespectful in their approach to wake her up, to get her to be like, okay, I get it. But even at the end of the night, I was the one that was still, quote unquote, the punching bag. So it always takes another person to mediate. The thing is, though, most people within, I'll say, their friend circles and friend groups are tired of mediating because they feel like they shouldn't have to have the same conversations with this particular individual. So that still leads me to have to fight the battle where I'm already have been emotionally in a rough spot. And granted, it may not be right, because I'll tell you, my responses are not always right. When I feel like I'm backed into a wall, I fight. And that's something that I've been working on for a while. Not as bad as I used to be. I can deal with a lot before I pop. But when I pop, it's like, okay, this kid's done lost his mind. It's like, how do you, not even how, while I've been on this healing journey, there are rough spots, which is why you should really watch how you handle people in moments. But that's just a generalized thing, like you don't know what a person's dealing with. But it gets to a point where it's like you can only be hit so much before anybody will eventually just be like, okay, gloves off. Granted, we haven't gotten to that spot verbally, because I'm the one, I'll walk away quick. Like, we can be in the middle of an argument, I'll walk away and just be like, deuces, you can argue with yourself. It's only so much I can handle. But it's just been difficult in this past week to just be like, okay, I'm really trying not to go there with you. Especially because spiritually, the enemy is always looking for an open door. And I know once I get angry, my mouth goes there. So it doesn't matter who you are with respect. Like when it comes down to my parents, I'll say what I need to say as respectfully as I can. And it's like, before I cuss you out completely, I gotta walk away. I haven't quite gotten there with my siblings. I haven't quite gotten there with them. I'll take a lot, but when I can't take it, it's just like, okay. But I've been very watchful with my words, if I can say. I've been trying to really watch what I say and how I say it. So it's been more of a difficult process this go around, because it's like I can't say what I want to say. I can, but I can't say what I want to say. I can't do what I would prefer to do. I'm trying to still give you the same respect that you're not giving back. So, it's dealing with that in the household of not being in a safe space while still having to deal with other things that are just as big, if not bigger, from past traumas. So it's been a lot. It's been heavy. It's been heavy. But it's dealing with that. Insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
Right. Change the pattern.
Even when you change the pattern, whether you approach, and that's what I'm saying, this is something I've dealt with my entire childhood with these people. And I say these people as respectfully as possible. at some point in time, when you realize if you come peaceful, it doesn't happen. If you try to get understanding, don't get anywhere. If you come with the same tone, you don't get anywhere. It comes a point to where the only option is to get out. And that's where I'm kind of at with it. Because some people, if I'm looking at this, if I speak from a biblical standpoint, some people literally deal with a hardened heart to the point to where it doesn't matter what you do. If you don't make it about them and what they want, you get nowhere. And I'm at that point to where I've realized with them, it's nothing that I can do. When I've come for years, like post-COVID, during COVID, after COVID, moved away, came back to be around my family, and it's the same thing. No matter how you try to approach it, we're at the same spot. And one of my other relatives and I were talking about it, and they've noticed the same thing in my sibling. And their partner has noticed the same thing between the three of the girls. So it's just kind of like, the only thing I think we can do at this moment is love them where they are. But I'm at a place to where I have to protect my peace because I feel like I have very little.
Right.
And I know for me, not having peace can be very destructive. And this is just learning myself over the years and having to be honest with myself about what I need to be in a good, healthy mind frame. If I don't have peace or stability in a peaceful place, things can be falling to hell. If I have peace and I'm able to find that and have just a safe space to be, I can get through anything quickly. But when it's always something, somewhere, your fault, you ain't got nothing to do with it, but it's thrown in your lap, it comes a point to where I gotta, and that's where I'm at right now. It's like God is testing, like, I need you to be faithful to what I asked you to do in the Word, and then go through your process. Because part of what I do with healing childhood trauma is having to deal with children who've been traumatized by parents and family members. Like, it's the whole community.
Yeah.
And I'm dealing deeper in that in my own therapy pursuit while still living in a very toxic environment, trying to heal through it. And then still trying to battle things spiritually while focusing on the other things of life. So it's just been, it's one of those things where I realize with them, as much as I don't want to count them out, because everybody is capable of changing, I'm okay with being the one that may not necessarily spark that change at this point.
Yeah.
Because it's unhealthy for me, even in my responses. Like, when I start shutting down from a communication standpoint, I've literally tried everything that I know to do. Even so much as saying, hey, let's go to therapy. Let's go to family therapy. We all still need it. Like, I'm in therapy. Let's all go together. And I don't talk to nobody about my problems. I'm fine the way I am. Okay, well then, I don't know. I don't know.
You gonna do experiment? I mean, if nothing's working right now, I have 3 things that I want you to try, and I want to see if I'm right or not. I mean, obviously, I could be wrong, but
if I get cussed out, I'm gonna call you and cuss you out.
I'll be the punching bag. I'm fine with that, but I'm very curious.
We're gonna be at another podcast and be like, T ain't show up today. Blue did not show up. He is
I'm a little upset right now.
He is livid with me.
But no, I have 2 for sure. I can't remember the third one. But one thing. Okay, so let's pick one person, because I know there's a lot of people that you have to deal with, right? Let's pick one person specifically. Everyone else, sideline them. Okay, unless you want to do it all at the same time. But I'm saying, again, doing everything all the time, all at once is draining. You know that. I know that. Very specifically, especially with people. pick one person, and then do these 3 things with that one person. 1, every time you get that urge to snap back, the easiest way I can say it, and it's not, I'm not saying it's true, but the easiest way to do it and address it is say, it's not my fault, or it is my fault. And I'm saying that because then it's just easier to kill the ego that way. So the first one is kill your ego behind the snapback. Like when you want to snap back at someone, kill the ego immediately as soon as you notice it. Okay, so let's do that. And then the easiest way that I can think of doing it is say, it's my fault and I don't understand. Fair enough?
That's
not true.
I do that a lot. I've done that a lot.
Yeah.
But that's why I made the comment earlier. It's like, how many times do I have to be the punching bag? Because sometimes we do. Like, I know I can be vexing. I've known that since I was a child. I can be extremely vexing. I get on my own nerves sometimes. Because I'll tell myself we're going to do certain things and it's like we didn't come through. But I've taken that approach.
Well,
but at some point, it's like, and this is just something we learned in school. It's only so many times that you can take the responsibility for something you didn't do before it starts to drain you even more.
Right, so I'm not saying take responsibility.
Yeah.
So I'm saying to say that phrase just because it's easier to activate the killing of ego.
Response, yeah.
I'm not saying to take responsibility. I'm just saying if you take it in that sort of a context, then it's a lot easier to process and kill the ego. So let's say we're going to kill the ego and we're going back and forth. And then you say something and I immediately want to say something back. I'm going to say to myself that made me feel like I want to say something to you, right? It made me feel like I want to snap back. So if you can internalize that quickly, like this is all within seconds, right? Internalize it quickly, recognize, okay, this hurt my feelings for some reason, or this made me feel like angry and I want to take it out on you. Why? Address that quickly in your head. And then now you have that why. Understand that the anger is not going to get you anywhere.